Namaste and welcome to the overview of Minimum Wages Act 1948. Minimum wage is the wages for basic standard of living and for efficiency. Unorganized labor suffers lower than the living age. Article 23 declares that not paying minimum wage is a punishable offense of forced labor as held in the infamous Asiad worker case of 1982. The Act of 1948 can be understood by studying what is a scheduled industry, what is the role of employer, what is the role of government, what are the rights of employees to claim their dues, and what are the penal provisions. Let us take the first aspect of the object and scope, wherein it is appropriate government's duty to fix minimum rates for scheduled employment. Now we have to understand what is an appropriate government. Central government is the appropriate government where the employment is under its authority. In the remaining employments, state government is the appropriate government. Here, appropriate stands for being accountable, responsible, and authorized to deliver under the Act. Now coming to the scheduled employment. A scheduled employment is one which appears in the schedule to the Act. The schedule to the Act has two parts. Part 2 deals with agriculture and Part 1 deals with non-agriculture. Agriculture includes farming, raising livestock, beekeeping, and other related operations. But here the objective is to get the workmen minimum wages. What is the wage? Wages is simply put basic plus dearness allowance plus HRA, that is house rent allowance. It does not include any reimbursement, say travel reimbursements or travel allowances. And also it doesn't include contributions of the employer towards provident fund or gratuity. We have understood wages to an employee. Who is an employee? Employee is one who is hired or employed for reward. He should get a reward. It includes a out worker who works away from employer's workplace. For example, BD rolling workers operating from home, and these employees could be skilled, unskilled, manual, or clerical as a broad grouping. An employee is connected to an employment in respect of which minimum wage has been fixed. Now let us go to the employer. What are his roles? An employer has got an important role to play. He maintains records of employees as also details of wages paid. He issues wage slips, complies with the observations of inspector, files annual return, and also displays extract of the act at the main entrance of the establishment, also giving the contact details of the inspector. Here the intention of displaying is both for information and education along with empowerment of employees. Who is an employer? In case of an employment under the scheduled industries, it is the manager or head of the department or any person entrusted with the supervision and control of the employees. In the sense, one who has got control over the operations of an employment unit is the employer. and that employer has got to perform the role and obligation of an employer, which we just now listed out. Fixing of minimum rate. Who fixes the minimum rate? It is the appropriate government who has to fix minimum rate, and it is mandatory where the number of employees is greater than 1000 in a specific employment across the state. The appropriate government has to fix three rates. One is time rate, piece rate, and overtime rate. Once again, the rate will vary for adults, children, and apprentices. And the government also has to fix the wage period, hourly wage, day wage, monthly wage, or an extended period other than the month. The rates which are fixed are reviewable, and it is mandatory to review once in 5 years. Old rates continue till the revision is done. Meaning, if the government fails to review in 5 years, the old rates continue till the revision is pending. If there is a case pending with a tribunal or a court on a claim or dispute of the employees in relation to the minimum wages, the appropriate government cannot proceed with the revision of wage. Then comes the procedure for fixing the minimum wages. It's quite simple. There is a structure of committees and subcommittees which will do the grassroots level work of holding inquiries and collecting details. And there is an advisory board which also advises the government as to how to proceed. These committees, subcommittees, as guided by the advisory board, prepare a proposal and give a draft proposal to the government. Once the government approves the draft proposal, it is notified in the official gazette. And a period of 2 months from publication is available for the concerned people to come out with objections. After getting the objections during these 2 months, the appropriate government finalizes the final policy, and it might incorporate acceptable objections received as a part of the final proposal, and the same is notified for implementation, and it will be effective on the expiry of 3 months from the original notification when the objections were invited. And what are these advisory boards? As we saw now, advisory board coordinates the work of committees and subcommittees which are involved in fixing and revising wages. But we have to remember one thing: advisory boards have no executive powers. They remain advisory. Government is at liberty to either accept or not to act on their recommendation. There is a central advisory board appointed by the central government. It might advise both central government as well as state government. These advisory committees, subcommittees comprise nominated representatives of employers, employees, and independent persons. And we have to note that independent persons could be to the extent of 1/3 of the total strength of each committee. Working hours. This is defined in Factories Act. Once again, here they say an adult can have 9 hours inclusive of intervals for rest, not to spread over more than 12 hours. Child can have 4.5 hours a day as the normal working hours. Day of paid rest once a week, normally on Sunday, where the working on 2 different categories of types. One has to be paid pro rata. If one job is having one rate and the other job is having another rate, and a person works on both the jobs, he has to be paid proportionately at the applicable rate. And overtime rate applies where the daily working hours is more than 9 and weekly working hours is more than 48. In case of scheduled employments as per Part 2 Agriculture, OT rates are 1.5 times the normal rates. In case of Schedule Part 1, which pertains to other industries, the overtime rate will be at 2 times the normal. We could also observe that this is almost similar to what is specified in section 59 of the Factories Act. And we have to see that work on a rest day, that is weekend, attracts overtime except under certain circumstances. Payment of emoluments monthly. If the number of workers is smaller than 1000 in an establishment, the payment has to be made within 7 days after the end of the wage period. If the number of employees is more than or equal to 1000, it could be paid before the end of 10th day of the wage. However, where a person has ceased to be in service because of the action of the employer, say termination, the payment has to be made before the end of second working day. Now, while making the payment of salary, the employer is authorized to make certain deductions, and he doesn't have a free hand. He can deduct fines. We will get into fines details separately. He can deduct for loss of pay or absence. He can also deduct for damages due to neglect, but it has to be proved and it has to be consented to by the employee. Wherever the housing is provided by the employer, and if it is mentioned in the contract, value of the housing could be deducted from the salary. And there will be adjustments for loans, recoveries, insurance premiums. But for all these deductions, there should be authorization from the employee obtained in writing. It can't be implied. Now, as for fines, fines are normally for damages or loss caused by employee. It has to be documented, subject to an inquiry. Employee has to be heard, and the decision has to be communicated and recorded in the register. If the deductions and fines all put together exceeds 50% of the monthly pay, the company has to restrict it to 50%, and the balance has to be carried forward for recovery in installment. This is as to the payment stipulations. Employees who have claims can lodge their claim with the Labor Commissioner or other appointed authority. The employee himself can file the case, or his representative can do it, or an advocate or a representative from the union, recognized union, could do that. That could be a single application for an employee, or a single application for a group of employees who have got a common claim. Once again, here it should be a matter of natural justice. The authority has to hear both the parties, employer and employee, and has to take a decision and order payment. And it has to be formally recorded and communicated to the concerned. Sometimes it so happens there will be an omnibus contract signed between employer and employee, wherein the employee waives his claims on the employer or reduces his liability so that employer is free from the burden of non-compliance under the Act. Such agreements are null and void. It cannot be enforced by the employer. Minimum Wages Act specifically indicates that every employer has to follow the procedures indicated in the Act, and he has to pay a minimum wage as prescribed by the government from time to time. If he contravenes, he will attract penalty and imprisonment. So far so good. Now we have to take one small instance and find out as to what happens if the minimum wage is fixed by the government and the employer is also the government, and if there is a contravention? We will get to that. And the case is that of minimum wages for shops and establishments in Karnataka. This is the latest circular, which is effective from 1st April 2020, updated on 20th March. The government has fixed, Karnataka government has fixed for skilled, semi-skilled, unskilled and office staff of, I have taken a few cases. Let us take the general workers and clerical cadre, unskilled. Basic minimum pay is 385, including variable DA. Total per day comes to 435. This is fixed by state government as an employer and also as an appropriate government. Now, there is a central government scheme called Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, wherein people are given guaranteed employment against a specific payment. And central government has issued a circular which says Manrega payment per day is rupees 202. Now in Karnataka, you have got a minimum payment issued by the government at 385, and there enters a Manrega scheme where it is 202. If the minimum wage for state of Karnataka is 385, by paying 202, Manrega is violating and it is attracting penal action. Now this is a debatable point. In fact, way back in 83, in Sanjit Roy versus Rajasthan case, Supreme Court has very clearly said, be it government or private agency, they cannot take advantage of helpless condition of the affected persons by paying less than the minimum wage. It is a clear case to explore as a contempt of court or scot-free. Please click the like or dislike button, subscribe to the channel, click the bell notification, comment for improvement. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.